Welcome to the last episode of Lagnia-POD for 2025. I am your host, Rob Holbert. Here with we're a little bit of a truncated group here. Everybody sound off who's here today.
Grant McLaughlin, Scott Johnson,
Kyle Hamrick,
Tommy Hicks.
Well, we're missing Ashley, so we have no sound effects today. And you're not in charge of sound effects,
Okay,
Kyle. I could see that look in your eye.
I am ready if you need them.
I could tell. I could
trying to
see the
Give
excitement.
me a signal.
He's trying to hoot into the microphone.
I could see the excitement in his face. No, we're not doing that. So this is the end of the year. You know, it's of course you have to sit back at the end of the year and survey what we've done. You know, and I was looking the other day at the number of acts of journalism we committed this year. 3,465 separate acts of journalism appeared this year. We're done this year by Lagnia. That's the people at this table. That's the freelancers, all of our folks involved, our columnists. That's a lot of news, folks. And I was pretty impressed to look at that number. And it breaks down to just about almost 10 articles a day. So this has been my thing that I always keep saying, and people who are listening and who are not subscribers, because this one is outside the paywall. The Lagnia-POD is a free entity here at Lagnia. It's a free offering, but those who are not subscribers, you're missing a lot of news. We can't on average we're doing about 66 stories a week. We only can put roughly about 20 in the paper. And that's not news stories. That's just 20 articles, I would say. We're doing about 66 articles a week.
Wow.
So there's a lot that is not being, you're not consuming. You're missing. I think we started out this past year on a really exciting note. We had a monkey attack some people, it jumped through a window at the drive-thru and bite a barista. I mean, it was off and running, right? Scott, you had the monkey story, didn't you?
Yeah, that was like first of the year. It
was
seems
in January.
like forever ago, but I remember.
I was surprised it was this year when I was looking back. I was like, God, that seems like a really long time ago.
But that was fun because we got the rumor that it possibly had happened, and I jumped on it and jumped in the car and drove down to Theodore, which is
because we always, when there's a monkey story, we're after it.
Yeah.
It's just a constant. That's one thing when we hire folks here, we tell them, look, if there's a chimpanzee or monkey story,
will you
got to be on it.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see those. There are other stories that catch fire and then take 2 laps around the world, and that was one of them. It's kind of complicated for us because once it gets big, it's like no benefit to us after that.
Right.
We just did all the legwork, and now everybody can.
Yeah, everybody else jumps on it, and it becomes something else, and becomes a international sensation for somebody else. But Scott, you looked at some of the most popular stories of the year online, right? What were some of those?
Yeah, so a mixture between how many people subscribed when they looked at the article, and then how many page views.
Yeah.
But one of the big topics was the Orange Beach mayor,
of course,
which happened over the summer. You can speak to that, the allegations that at the Coastal Resources building, a man beating his wife.
Of a naked man beating a woman. Yes.
Yeah.
And the police showed up, and the mayor was there allegedly with his wife at his office at 1 a.m.
Said, don't know what a domestic call would be.
I don't. Anyway, what are some of the others?
We had there was a 17-year-old who had been arrested for a DUI involving death, and
his father is a Mobile police officer.
Yeah, over the course of the year, his father, who's a police officer, was fired. And then his wife was arrested for intimidating, harassing people, all involved in this wreck. And then, it was a month and a half ago, they were arrested for tampering with evidence at a crime scene. Yeah. So that all played out this year.
Over the course of the year. Yeah. The obviously mayoral race was a big story this year.
It was. Mayor Sandy Simpson bowing out, and Cherry Gus kind of taking the reins and jumping in.
Stepping up.
And Yeah, that was another big line of stories that were there. We also had this was I forgot that this was this year too. AOC closing was a very wildly concerning story.
Alabama orthopedic clinic, right?
Yeah. That was one that people really paid a lot of attention to. It's these are things that you kind of, like you say, you look back and you think, oh, I forgot about that story.
Yeah.
And when you go back and start looking at stories, I just went month by month through online and just like, oh yeah, I forgot we did that. I forgot we did that. That's a lot, There's a lot of stuff, I think, we joke about the monkey story because it's silly. But I think a lot of what we pride ourselves on doing is a lot of the investigative reporting. And, I wrote my column about it this week is just, that part is the part I think people don't know that, how much time and energy is put into it, especially in Alabama where open records are sort of an antiquated thought. It's I don't know. It's just it's something that we spend a lot of time doing stuff that journalists in Florida don't have to do because they can just go find it online and download it. We have to ask, pretty please, with sugar on top. Is there any way you could give us these public records that are owned by the people that are actually public, but
we pay for with our tax dollars to store,
and that are clearly public, but you don't want to give it to us? It goes on and on and on, but that's a big part of it. I mean, it's just when I think it's one of the things. Scott, you had this the story on the clinic up there on Old Shell Road, South Alabama Medical and Rehab, that has been a humongous story this year. I think you've probably written 20 different articles on it, and that your articles got that clinic got shut down.
I got cited in a complaint the DA filed.
The DA has filed complaint against these people. There's a investigation going on. You found connections to a guy who at one point was running from the FBI and lived in a different country to avoid extradition, who's kind of behind the scenes of the whole thing. It's just, and this is a network of clinics and things like this happening around throughout several states.
Oh yeah.
I think at one point you got a phone call from somebody down in Fort Lauderdale, said they were burning or destroying records, right?
Yeah, some law office that they claimed that they was connected.
Which was funny because I was on vacation in Fort Lauderdale that week. I thought it would be very funny if I just showed up and knocked on the door. Hey, I'm with Lagnia-POD.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Get a picture of it.
Yeah, I'm still getting. I'll still get emails and phone calls from insurance people, investigators in insurance companies. I got one a week or two ago. Just you're like, hey, I just saw that you were investigating this guy. I've been looking into this guy too, and
a friend of mine who is in insurance, in the insurance business, and who's an investigator. When I mentioned the story and mentioned the name of Planbeck, who's the kind of guy who's behind the whole thing.
Yeah.
He's this guy. My friend has been an investigator. He's been, with the DA. He's been with an AG's office. He's been around for a while, and he was like, that guy, wait a minute, we've been, that guy's been around forever. He's one of, I think they had one of the biggest criminal suits, criminal investigations ever of him. And he's
charged for RICO
acts and all sorts of stuff. So that's been a big story. That's been a really big one. I think, we had the story that came up about the folks over in Baldwin who lost all their money with a hedge fund that
Point Clear Capital Investors is what it was.
That's another one that's been crazy. Grant, I know you had the one that was really kind of an eye-opener for a lot of us with that the cities are paying coaches, paying football coaches. That that was interesting.
It was like a crazy story from the very get go. All this hush hush in a public meeting about a consultant who wasn't doing what he was supposed to do, but we'll give him the money anyway.
It's a consultant, but he's really the football coach. And so we found out that all the cities in Baldwin County, they pay their football coaches extra money by donating it to the school system, which then boomerangs it back to the coaches.
Yeah. And it was all a very interesting idea put forward by a former high school staffer turned assistant superintendent. to avoid the perception of violating state ethics laws.
Yeah.
Because you're not necessarily supposed to pay a public employee 2 salaries if it's not.
It is. They call that double dipping, but
yes.
but that's which it's technically known as double dipping, but it's an interesting way of getting around double dipping.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was funny. You were talking about the begging and pleading of the public records, and I feel like I was begged and pleaded not to put in a public records request for like a month. They said, "Oh, we'll get it to you, we'll get it to you, we'll get it to you," and then finally they're like, "Actually, this is going to be a lot to get through." So
I think one of the things that we've recognized this year, I know that the Open Records Act was tuned up. What, a year or two ago?
Quotation marks.
Last year.
Arthur
Orr.
And I think
it was good things.
I think of this. Well, you think some of it's good?
Some of it's good. It's just I think it's better than not having it. But
do you?
It doesn't. I don't. It's kind of had this like whiplash effect.
I feel like it's been a disaster.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not. You have your opinion.
I think it's good. I just think you got to do other things to actually make that work.
I think the part about it that's frustrating to me is that by creating a time limit for these people, they basically now go, oh well, I have 3 weeks to respond to you, so I'm not going to respond for 3 weeks instead of it just seems to be. I think we're running across this over and over again, that the process now of getting records has been drawn out even further.
Oh, yeah.
And it's still, there's just no way to, there's nobody to complain to when they don't do it.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to go with it when they just tell you, sit and spin, tough luck. I mean, you've had that experience, Scott, with the coastal, with
the Alabama Community College.
Yeah.
And, just case after case after, them not even following the guidelines altogether. Like they have the guidelines in place under state law.
In that one, in that story, there's a settlement, right? That was made with public money.
Yeah.
And you're asking, okay, well, show us what the settlements are. Like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah. Or we don't have them. Or, but there's nowhere for me to go. And I do feel like this year has, at least for me, it's just been like time after time, almost every single records request has always come back to, I'm going to have to argue that it is a public record. I'm going to have to, go through another round of fighting.
You're lucky
it's
you
a
have
fight every time.
You're lucky you have a thick, lustrous, Elvis-like head of hair because you've been tearing it out most of the time. I think that doing this stuff, it is it is ridiculous. And I mean, as I like to dabble in investigative reporting myself, and so it's a frustrating program.
And if an agency department wants to make it hard, there are a whole table full of options for them to make your life hell. And
you're
then
still left at just suing them is basically the end of the day. That's all you can do, or you can embarrass them, and that's what we have to do most of the time. Is just beat on them.
And at the end of the day, there's nothing requiring a agency to go through all that. Like I was talking about this the other day with somebody. We requested like a whole ream of timesheets from the Mobile County Sheriff's Office last year. They just handed them to us.
Yep.
I mean, they could have charged us for every page. Yep. They could have drawn it out through, They wanted to work with us. They did.
I have, I'm working on a story with in a state agency just charged us $250 for 2 hours worth of work, and which they still haven't completed. I've been asking for these records for it's almost 2 months now, and they, when you say, okay, well that breaks down to somebody who makes like $160,000 a year, who's doing the work? Well, it's a combination of people, and we just decided that's the number.
Yeah.
And, that's not how it's supposed to work, but that's what you have to do.
We came up with that.
I think it's, I know I probably get a little sensitive sometimes when I see people online and are like, why do we have to pay for this damn thing? I don't want to pay for news. I'm like, man, this is how it is. It's like, this is what people are, this is what we do. And this is our job in terms of going and digging stuff up. If we didn't do it, if we just said every time somebody said, no, we're not going to give that to you, and we just quit, there's a lot of stuff people wouldn't know about.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's what I hope we're doing a good job of that. I think we are. I like to do it. I like to think we do a really good job of exposing these things. I think we do a better job than anybody else in this state of doing those things.
Here.
I'll break my arm patting ourselves on the back, but I think we do. And there's 3,465 examples of that.
Yeah.
The story for me of the year from what I worked on was, of course, that stuff with Tony Kennon, and you kind of worked with me on it, and that was just a crazy story. When it first came up, someone had called me and said, "I need to talk to you," and it was just, I was busy, and I didn't get back to this individual for a month or two, and that person said, "Gosh, I guess I thought you're never going to call me back." And I'm sorry, and come down and meet me. I went down and met him, and this person said, "Now, I don't know if this is going to be an interesting story to you or not, but there are documents that show that the police were called, on Labor Day weekend, about a man who was punching a woman in the face, a naked man punching a woman in the face on a city-owned building, and it was Tony Kennon." I'm like, yeah, well, I'm interested in this
really?
story.
Oh, really?
That's an interesting
Please
story.
Share some more information.
That was a fascinating story.
It was,
of course, we went back and looked at the multiple instances he's had of violence and run-ins, and I mean, I found that the city paid for one of the people he punched in the face years ago, and
was that the live bait bus?
That was a live bait bus. He punched the guy in the face, and the city paid. The city's insurance paid for him, or he's sitting on the bus in the middle of the night and gets in a fist fight, and somehow the city pays for it.
Yeah, with their insurance.
Yeah.
And then there was the Floribama.
A couple
years back.
There was a number of stuff. I mean, number of things that that was a fascinating one, and all his threats that he was going to deal with us, and we were going to get.
There was only one episode of Tuesdays with Tony, and that's the one where he said that he'll deal with us next episode.
Yeah, that didn't happen. But
we're still waiting on that episode.
It was a very, very interesting story and very strange one. And I just, that's one of those things you think, like, how in the world, when truth is stranger than fiction, the potential that a mayor of a city, especially the family values mayor who doesn't even want a coffee shop in town that
has bad ass on it.
Badass.
Yeah.
He didn't want that in town, but he's potentially, allegedly standing out on a balcony naked and punching a woman in the face.
Sources say
that would be a paradox of sorts. But,
and of course, the fact that this building, there was an office that he had in there.
Yes.
That was less than 3 miles away from City Hall.
Yeah.
From his
second office,
supposedly bigger main office.
And he told the police that he used it as a weekend getaway.
Yeah.
That was a fascinating one, but very disappointing from the standpoint of our fellow of our journalistic brethren in the community who did not cover it at all.
Yeah. For months.
Did nothing.
For months.
And the DA in Baldwin County who said we're not going to check this out.
Yeah.
Not going to look into this case of some alleged domestic violence going on at a city building.
Well, I mean, the police went and interviewed his wife after the case. We won't go into, we won't relitigate the whole thing. We've talked about it too much already.
But it's on Lagnia-POD.com.
You can read those. And most of those actually are now out from behind the paywall because we took them out. No, those are not. So they probably will be soon when we send them all in for contest stuff, and we have to take them out from behind the paywall so people can check them out. But they could subscribe and read them right now.
Can always
it's
do that.
It's only 30 cents a day.
Yeah.
It is 30 cents a day to subscribe. It is, I think, the best 30 cents you can spend around here. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk a little bit with Tommy Hicks about some of the sports stories of this year. We'll be right back.
Town, Lagnia-POD is on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Oh, Lagnia Daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local truths on every page, news for the folks of every age.
It's just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lagnia Daily. Get signed up now at lagniapmobile.com and help keep Mobile funky.
Whoa, down in our Alabama town, Lagnia Daily's on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Oh, Lagnia Daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local truths on every page, news for the folks of every age.
And we are back with Tommy Hicks.
We are back.
He's excited about the new year.
Woo!
Yeah. So, I mean, we had some good stuff this year in the sports world, like locally. That's a hard word to say sometimes. What are some of the big ones that stand out to you?
Well, I mean, obviously, most recently, Phillip Rivers going back to the NFL, that became such a national story.
It really is an amazing story.
It is.
I mean, we were all sitting around thinking, like, who gets to play Phillip Rivers in the movie? You know, there's got to be a movie, right?
There's got to be a movie. Surely there's at least
I mean, if he had won the Super Bowl,
a Hallmark TV special at least.
At the very minimum, he gets a Hallmark movie. Yeah, I mean, I think that we were debating who's going to play him. I think we had a lot of, we didn't really come down with anything.
No, we didn't come out with it.
We had several. We were running either too old or too young. That was a big part.
Yeah,
the problem. But we have to put our heads together on that one.
Plus, I got to be 6'5". You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, movie magic. You know. But somebody suggested Tom Cruise. I'm like, there's no way.
No, Tom can't do that.
That's going to be a tough one.
Sorry,
there's
sorry,
not
Tom,
enough,
you're out.
There's not enough platform shoes for that one.
No, there's not. He'd have to wear boots like Kiss used to. But yeah, I mean, Phillip going back, playing 3 games. He's not going to play this Sunday. Apparently, another Fairhope, Alabama quarterback will be there instead.
The hotbed of Indianapolis Colts quarterback
club,
Fairhope, Alabama.
Right here, Fairhope.
Is he going to be back up though?
Yeah, he will be back up. He's still going to be there just in case Riley Leonard gets hurt. Again, he would be there to be able to be his backup because there's nobody else. But beyond that,
it's a hell of a story, though. I mean, a guy who hasn't played football in 5 years, or 4 years, certainly 4 seasons, right?
Almost 5, yeah.
Almost five seasons, and gets up and goes out and plays football and does pretty well.
Yeah. It wasn't his fault. Maybe the Colts could take a look at their defensive situation instead of their quarterback situation.
He played pretty well, I think.
He played great.
Yeah.
He had 275 yards.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
He did very well.
I think the most interesting aspect of that was that people were going, "What are they doing? Why are we doing? This is just going to be such a farce."
Yeah.
And then after he goes out there and does what he did, I mean, they were 0-3. Okay, they were 0-3, but they were in almost every game.
Right.
San Francisco ran away at the end in the second game, but they're in every of the other 2 games, and he's now they're all talking about how important it was for him to be there and what a great lesson this is. And, and that's the exact point that people should take from it, I think, is that in this time of NIL and players making gazillions of dollars in the NFL and all of that stuff, that here's a guy that went back just because he loved the dadgum game.
Yes, that's right.
And gave everything that he had.
Well, I mean, he's coaching high school football too. He's not making a fortune being a high school football coach. I mean, he's obviously
he doesn't have to worry about his salary.
I think he's fine.
Yeah, he's gonna be okay.
He probably did fairly well in the NFL, and I think he did okay.
I think he did.
But he's obviously a guy who is still very passionate about what he's doing.
I mean, he had to want to look. He was a semifinalist for the Hall of Fame this year.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And by going back, he knew that the clock was going to restart for him, so he can't be considered for another 5
years.
I mean, that proves right there that it meant something.
He won't get to put on his gold jacket for 5 more years.
No.
Yeah. That's crazy, isn't it?
But he did pick up 5 more years of insurance, and when you're the father of 10, that's not a bad giveaway. That's a good plus for him. But it's just been a terrific story, and just kind of following and seeing the reaction of people, his football team, the people in Fairhope, but then nationally, how people just said, "Look, I thought this was a joke at first, but now I have all the respect in the world for Phillip Rivers."
Absolutely.
Really
so what are some other things that come to mind about 2025 in the sports world?
Well, obviously, Mobile getting the Super 7 is going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's going to bring it down to the poor South Alabama that runs Hancock Whitney Stadium. They're going to be a little busy. They're going to get the North-South All-Star game and the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game on a Saturday and a Friday after a week of Super 7, which will be 4 days now instead of 3 like it's been. And then the week after that, they'll probably have the 68 Ventures Bowl if the calendar stays the same.
Somewhere the Jags are playing in there somewhere, right?
And then the Senior Bowl will be there in a month after that. So they're going to be a little busy.
Yeah.
But that's going to be big to get that down here. And I think it's going to be a great setting. You know, before they played at Alabama and they played at Auburn, at those big stadiums, and they played at Protective, which in Birmingham, which seats 55,000, I think, but 25,000, and you've been there. The seat, there's not a bad seat in that building.
Great place to watch a game.
It's going to be really so much more special, I think, for the players because the atmosphere is going to be so different than it has been in the past. So I think they're really going to like that aspect of it.
Yeah. Yep. Anything else that comes to mind?
Well, this week we have our all-area football teams, and we have our all-area flag football teams announced.
Okay.
And we had 71 players from here make All-State. Think about that for a second.
That's wild.
71. So when we're putting ours together, like, we literally had 7 legitimate players that could have been player of the year just in our 2A, 5A team.
Wow.
So it becomes just picking those things are not just a simple matter of, that guy. He's definitely that guy. But when you look at Deshaun Spencer from Saraland was our offensive player of the year for 6A, 7A. He's going to Auburn. Ellis McGaskin is our defensive player of the year for 2A, 5A. He's committed to Notre Dame. I mean, you can just go down the line of all the players that we've had. Anthony Jones of St. Paul's was our defensive player for 6A, 7A. He's going to Oregon. So that's the kind of talent that we have down here, and it's interesting just to have people come by and say, how many people were All-State? And you go, 71. That's not a bad number.
Well, that'll give 26 a lot to live up to.
Yeah, it will.
It will be.
Yeah, it will.
Well, speaking of 26 guys, we're all looking forward to the upcoming year, and there are some things we're working on already. I mean, I know, Kyle, this ongoing thing with the city in terms of the city and the county and the rent. That's something that we're going to be covering. I think
who's
pretty
paying the rent, and where are we going to go? We going to stay downtown? We going to move out west? What are we going to do?
It's a hot story. I think we're going to have some elections this year
for governor.
We got sheriff's races on both sides of the bay. There's a lot of stuff going on there. I think the governor's race is while everybody has already, anointed Tuberville the new governor. I mean, it does look like Doug Jones is going to run against him at least have some competition. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how much competition he'll give him, but
it'll be a rematch of his Senate race.
But I do think people always tend to say, well, the prohibitive favorite here is so and so, and that often doesn't turn out to be as easily done as people might think.
I'm particularly looking forward. I know it's not going to be the most exciting legislative session, but I'm a big legislative nerd, so I'm looking forward to the SSUT fight.
Oh, yeah.
There's some stuff about how they're going to fund to keep doing all their jail projects.
That's basically SSUT for folks out there. That's more or less how the internet money is split.
Sales tax
is split up
right now. It's heavily beneficial toward the counties.
Counties and cities are fighting over it.
Yes, because the counties get a lot of it. The cities, from revenue that cities claim is being collected in their jurisdictions, and they're not really getting their fair share. That's the upshot, I believe.
I tell you what, I'm looking forward to this year. I hope that I've been covering this Mabel Amos thing for 5 years now, almost. And I think maybe this might be the year. That we find out where all the money went. We're gonna free the Albritton files. We got free
the files.
Free the Tom Albritton files. I want to see these things. I release the files. I'm hoping that we're gonna see that. Yeah. Scott, anything you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I've got several topics I'm basically almost done on. So expecting a big health insurance story here in the next couple weeks. I think that's going to bleed into some legislation.
Yeah.
And maybe a fight with one of the biggest carriers here on what they're going to be required to cover and do. I think that, and that's going to be really interesting. Well, I think, and hopefully peeling back more layers on this airport authority story I've been working on.
Yeah.
I'll have something out in this week's paper and then up online soon, but on that. And then I think I want to see, the pieces have been put into place to get this rehab clinic mastermind served.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen. I think they're going to have to do it by publication because he's just been denying it and, dodging investigators, etc. But yeah, it'd be really interesting to see him get, deposed, have to testify, and that's going to create a whole. It's going to be very interesting.
A big window into all this stuff. I think I know that there are. I know that we're all working on some stuff right now. There's a lot of. I'm really excited about the new year getting started because I think there are a whole bunch of really good stories that are teed up right now that we're going to be coming out with pretty soon. And those folks who are paying their 30 cents a day to read it are going to really enjoy it. And I hope that the folks who are listening who are not doing that will help us out because it really does help keep this newspaper going. I would love for us to have another reporter sitting at this table sooner or later, and that would really help us do that. So, we got to keep, having a newspaper is an unusual thing sometimes. I think Tommy just pointed out that the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, that today is their last day that they're going to publish a newspaper. That doesn't mean they're going away. They're online only, but they don't have a paper anymore in Atlanta, a newspaper. We still have one. And you still have a weekly newspaper here we put out, but we also, Lagnia Daily is cranking every day. Yeah. 3,465 times last year. We'll keep trying to beat that number this coming year. Well, thanks a lot, folks, for listening, and Happy New Year. We will see y'all next year. Later.
The Lagnia-POD is a Something Extra publishing production. Executive producers are Rob Holbert and Ashley Trice. Music is by Some Pulse Sounds and Electro Animals. Only subscribers like you have access to this podcast. Tell your friends they can sign up at my.lagniapmobile.com. For advertising opportunities, please call 251-450-4466.